Welcome. This is the Scarlet and Rage podcast. Thank you for taking the time to watch this evening. I know some of you will be coming on here any moment, but a big show to talk about. But before we get into any of that, please hit that like and subscribe button. We've got 8 now watching live. Hopefully we can get that like up to 8 if everybody would like. If you have not subscribed, please do. This is a great place for Buckeye content, for analysis, for opinions, as well as, Big Ten and college football at large. And here and there, we discuss a few other topics as well. So we appreciate those of you who have been watching, but many, many more of you have been watching than you have subscribing. Real quickly, I want to hit our social media. Facebook, if you're on Facebook, please join us there. We actually, I'm just finding out that we had a Facebook. So we want to get that out there. We are also on X at the Scarlet and Rage. And momentarily, I will be sharing the link and highlighting it for the message board. The message board is there and available. It is free. Everyone is welcome. Even if you're not watching this live and you're watching this after the fact, check out the message board. We'll be putting up that link here in just a moment. There has been a lot of traffic there, and the more traffic we get, the more interesting it becomes, because sometimes, Jay, I take 3 or 4 days off. Sometimes I go in a flurry and I'll post, 7, 8, 10 replies within an hour's time. But the more we have in there, interacting and starting posts and starting conversations, the better. So we'll get to that in a moment, but thescarletandrage.com, and we'll make that available. So we encourage you to get on. All right, Jay, that's 2 minutes. Took me 2 minutes to get through all that. Maybe I can cut that down to about 1.5 minutes here soon. But anyhow, how are things going? We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to discuss the Charlie Kirk situation. I know I shared some brief thoughts with you, and I haven't really heard your thoughts on it yet. And then we're going to get into some football, the Buckeyes and some other games that were played over the weekend that were of note, or at least that we think are worth mentioning. Jay, I personally have a little bit of commentary on Michigan. I watched a good portion of their game. There's plenty to talk about. So let's get into it. Do you want to get right into Charlie Kirk? Do you have some introductory comments?
Let's just get right into it, man. Let's get right into it. There's a lot to discuss here. We are not a political show, but we do talk politics every now and then. Prayers for Charlie Kirk, Michael. What happened to him is disgusting. It's evil. I don't know how really to describe it. Prayers for him and his family. The hate emanating from the left wing is just out of control. And, Michael, did you happen to see the actual video of the shot?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I might have actually texted it to you.
Yeah, I've seen it from a lot of angles on X, and it is it's not something that I suggest if you can't handle it. Don't, if you're weak of stomach, don't look at it. But I'm sure probably most people who are going to see it at this point have seen it. Those who are maybe choosing not to have not. But yeah, I mean, that's the most brutal thing I think that we have witnessed in American society, at least modern American society. Far more brutal than the JFK assassination, although that was also brutal. But there was not anybody there there was not very many people who saw it. It wasn't until years after, when this Zapruder film is discovered, that anybody began to see it. And even then, for many years, there was no internet. So you had to see it on a videotape, or you had to see it on a television program, or you had to, access it that way. And it's only been in the recent years that that's been highly accessible to the masses, to see that from that, low quality camera quite a distance away. But some of the angles that, were captured and blasted out there to millions, I guess probably you could say billions by the time you talk about X having access to probably over 1 billion people. And so there's never been anything like that. It was awful. It was disturbing. And I guess whatever sick agenda was behind it, whatever that may be, I guess that was the point, was to be awful and disturbing.
It absolutely was, man. And we did actually see something like this, maybe not as graphic, but we came within 1 inch of not having President Trump around in our lives anymore. So everybody seems to forget about that, coincidentally. Now no one
it just shows the speed at which things happen in this country, today. It happens so quickly that something as monumental as an assassination of a presidential candidate, or an attempted assassination of a presidential candidate, just kind of, is gone after a few months. Nobody thinks about it. But Jay, definitely a sad moment. I will say this: sports always are able to pull you back into a happy place, or at least a happier place. That's how it is for me. It's been very heavy over the past several days, and it doesn't make it go away. It's not that I'm trying to ignore it or be an ostrich and put my head in the sand. But as human beings, we can only dwell on the awful stuff that our news feeds us all the 24 hours a day. We can only dwell on that so much before it becomes
that is true,
bad for us.
I guess it depends on what kind of sports. In our case, the Reds are eliminated. The Bengals, in your case, are 2-0. I see you're repping the Bengals there.
It's the most. I'm not impressed with the 2-0.
I'm aware
at all.
I'm aware. I figured so. But again, it's the NFL. Every win counts, and it doesn't matter how you get them, as just as long as you get them.
Yeah.
But Michael, I said the hate spewing from the left wing is out of control, and I'm not mixing my words. I believe the left wing is responsible for this assassination. When is the last time a right-wing person actually tried to assassinate a politician or big-time political speaker?
All right. Well, Jay,
I don't know.
On that note, and let's kind of end on this discussion for a bit, and then we'll move into the sports. But we're told it was a left-wing 21-year-old kid. I mean, that's what the FBI is telling us. So, I mean, do you feel satisfied that that's it, open shut? It's this guy probably?
I don't know what to think, Michael. I don't know what to think. I can just tell you that, all of the recent shootings have been by left-wing, trans, crazy people. The Charlotte Blue Line murder, Michael, let's not forget about that. I want to touch on that. I just want to say, so sad for the Ukrainian immigrant, Irina. I don't know how to say her last name. Michael, as you know, I'm very closely connected to the law enforcement community here in Charlotte. And it's interesting, that we were national news for about 5 days. I don't believe they even have police on trains anymore. I think they just have fare inspectors. The people sitting there doing nothing should be ashamed of themselves. And by the way, I believe that was a hate crime. You've
transitioned to the Charlotte crime now.
Absolutely.
All right. So we don't get too heavy. What you feel confident that they've got the guy
for
Charlie Kirk? You think it?
I do not feel confident.
Okay.
I do not feel. I don't know what to think. I have no idea what to think there. What's right, what's up is down, what's down is up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I can tell you this regarding the train incident. Charlotte would be burning to the ground if there were a bunch of white people on that train and a white person stabbed a random black person versus the opposite. And this is something that happened weeks ago and then just kind of came into the news recently. I don't know how somebody got a hold of that footage, or I guess word got around. But yeah, man, just absolutely disgusting.
Jay, you're right about that, because that's the society we live in. We're very divided, and that's the whole problem. is that it matters somehow what color of person, did what color of person to, what kind of reaction is going to be in the streets. That truly shouldn't matter. I mean, and I've always said the organization Black Lives Matter, I don't support because it's a Marxist communist organization. The slogan Black Lives Matter, I fully support because obviously Black Lives Matter, as do, of course, every other life. So, the fact that they've got us divided to the point that, somehow, it matters who killed who based on how we think about it. Well, if it was black on black crime, that's fine. If it was white on black crime, not, or black on white crime, not, it's all awful, Jay. And,
I agree. I mean, all lives absolutely matter for sure. Again, the left wing, they just want to separate us. They want to divide us. They want us to hate each other. They want us to kill each other. I mean, that's their whole agenda, to dwindle down the population. I think, what was it? Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez once said something like there's only needed like 10 or I forget however many million people she said only needed to be on the planet or something. She said that once.
Well, yeah, there's plenty of people out there that clearly want to reduce the population.
We
could go down endless rabbit trails as far as this goes, Jay. Final thoughts.
Michael, I mean, so do you believe? I mean, like you were just telling me before we got on here that you don't believe that we will ever know the truth.
No, I really don't. And so I'm just saying I don't have any faith or confidence, that we are going to know the truth on that. It just all seems too convenient for me. There's pieces that, people do your own stuff. You want to look at it, but there's things that just kind of seem to don't add up that much. And I don't know. It just seems a little odd to me, but what do I know? I could be totally wrong.
Isn't it eerie that we really don't know much about Donald Trump's shooter either?
Well, exactly.
That's what I'm talking about, man. It's really, really eerie what is going on. Like, who is this secret society behind the curtain that's like seems to be orchestrating all of this? Is it George Soros? Is it, Antifa? Is it the CIA? That's where it gets really scary and go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, it's a very uncomfortable place to go. Trust me. I've gone there, and we don't know the answers to any of that. The truth is, we really don't. But in the spirit of Charlie Kirk, if you are a believer, you do believe that ultimately God is in control. There may be a lot of things men do in the earth, but ultimately God is in control. And I think it's somewhere in the Psalms, he said that he will cause even the wrath of man to praise him. So, yeah, I mean, that's all I know. We just have to have our hope there. And if you feel differently, then you're entitled to that.
I have some things I just need to say before we move on. Yeah. First off, to everyone out there listening, you need to protect yourself. Michael, I think we both agree. You need to be able to protect yourself and the people around you. Be vigilant. Buy a firearm, learn a martial arts, can't carry a knife or something on you. You kind of have to be ready at all times because, you see the assaults on people and the crazy people out there in the world. Hell, Michael, an Antifa member today isn't, I think they vandalized Charlie Kirk's memorial. You saw them like go and kick it around and stuff, just too many people, I feel like, stood around for too long before one man slammed him to the ground. I would go further than that. I would have beat that guy within an inch of his life and then handed him over to the police. And yeah, I'd probably get assault charges, but fuck it, man. I mean, again, I don't know. I believe, Michael, I think, I don't know. There could be a civil war of some kind coming, man, between the George and Alex Soros level communists, Antifa, trans people, and the free thinkers. I think it's coming, man. I think it's coming.
Well, there's always two ways at a crossroads. There's two paths, and time will tell, which one we choose as a society. I hope and pray that it's a more peaceful path, and that there can be some kind of reason and civility that returns. But I can certainly see why people wouldn't be optimistic of that.
Well, Matt Walsh is one of those people. listened to a little clip of him today. I don't even listen to Matt Walsh. Let me just make it clear. I didn't really listen to Charlie Kirk much. Did you, Michael? I didn't listen to him much. No, I really didn't. I knew what he did. I've listened to other conservative commentators more so than him, but I found the message today by Matt Walsh with the Daily Wire. Do you know who he is?
Mm-hmm.
I found him to be closest with my thoughts. The time for talking is over. People need to be made an example of, and we need to fight and kill back if need be. Irina's murderer should probably be dead right now. That guy, the black dude on the train, should probably be dead, not behind bars. Same for Charlie Kirk's murderer. But again, I don't know if that person actually did it, so I don't know about him. But we did see the black guy kill her. He should be dead.
All right. So let me qualify what you're saying. You're saying, and it would be very reasonable if somebody pulls out a knife and starts stabbing someone on a train, that if someone has a concealed carry, it would be very reasonable. That would be a time to use it to defend,
absolutely
your space. And
absolutely.
So, yeah. So obviously agreed. And that's the purpose of a concealed carry for responsible people. But anyhow, let's get rolling into the sports this weekend, Jay. Let's see what kind of thoughts you have. You want to start with the Buckeyes, or you want to roll with some of the other games first?
I want to make one mention of the sports world before. I mean, it was with the Buckeyes. You obviously watched the game on TV, right, Michael?
I did.
Peacock is so fucking bad.
It's a bad broadcast.
Why does that even exist? How does it exist? What in the fuck?
Okay, but here's the thing. Isn't it owned by NBC?
It is.
And you would think a multi-billion dollar company like NBC would have at least a kind of good product, but man, it is rough.
I don't know. Again, I bootlegged the game, but it was essentially the same quality as the actual live stream.
Mm-hmm.
And I just ate some very unhealthy pasta. So my stomach is feels all weird right now. So
the live stream quality was not very good.
Well, the game would freeze for the 2 touchdown throws, the one to Cornell Tate and the other one to Jeremiah Smith. The game actually froze when the ball was in the air for a split second. Then it's they scored a touchdown. It happened once and I was mad. And then it happened the second time. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure we scored, and we did.
Yeah. It was a poor broadcast. So since I guess we're talking about that broadcast, let's talk about the game a little bit.
Well, one more thing about the broadcast. Okay. Chris Sims fucking sucks. Is that I didn't realize that was Chris Sims until after the fact, by the way. I didn't know that I ever got a look at the announcers. It seemed like they were pulling for Ohio in the game, by the way. Just Chris Sims, obviously he was a really good football player. We know that, but just because you're a really good player doesn't mean you can speak the football and make any sense of what is going on. Some of the way he was talking, he sounded like a fucking idiot, but he also seemed like he was an Ohio cheerleader.
Well, think about it though, Jay. A couple of guys trying to make their way in the broadcasting world. Neither are at the pinnacle by any means, because they're broadcasting for Peacock. But think about what it could potentially do for their career if they're broadcasting Ohio U upsetting the defending national champion, undefeated #1 team in the country for the first time in history. This would be that Ohio U would have beat Ohio State. That could potentially have some positive impacts for them. So I can see why they probably had an interest in the game being as exciting as possible.
Well, I saw some people, I found this interesting. I saw some people say they would rather listen to Paul Keels. No. As bad as Chris Sims is, I would rather listen to Chris Sims and Paul Keels because Chris Sims at least doesn't act like an Ohio State fan or doesn't pretend to be an Ohio State fan like Paul Keels does. Paul Keels actually pretends to like Ohio State and pretends to be an Ohio State fan, but he's not. He couldn't care less really what happens with Ohio State. I don't know what his problem is with Ohio State, but the guy, yeah, he's a great voice and you know what's going on. And I guess by the letter of the law, that's fine. But if I am hiring somebody to do a play-by-play for such a storied program, I would expect that person to be a fan somewhat. But Paul Keels is the absolute fucking worst when it comes to that. I hate him as an announcer. And I feel like I'm one of the few Buckeye fans that does hate him. But, you know, some other people have kind of said the same. He just doesn't have that emotion for the team he's announcing for. It just seems like it's just a fucking job for him.
We have Keels is a Cincinnati Bearcat fan, is why. Well, that would explain it. The Bearcats really, Jay, do not like Ohio State. It is very hard for Bearcat fans.
That's fine. Why the fuck was he hired then? That's my point. He should have never been hired in the first fucking place. Like, Paul Keels, like, just go retire, you old man. Like, find somebody else. Yeah, it's going to be hard to find somebody with like such the unique voice that he has. But you're going to have somebody that's so much more fun to listen to. Like, this guy is not fun to listen to. He sucks. Jim Lachey is fun to listen to.
Who is?
I like Jim Lachey, the color analyst, former Ohio State offensive lineman.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, he's fun to listen to. He cares. He lives and dies by what happens during those games. So yeah, that's really what I want to say there. I guess when it comes to the game, Michael, do you want to start on offense first, defense first, overall thoughts? You carry it. You go where you want to go.
Let's start on offense, Jay. I saw some very positive things on offense again. Julian Sayin continues to impress me in many ways. He also is showing that he's got to grow up in some ways. He continues to miss some wide open, huge plays because he's focused in on a receiver or something like that. There was one point early in the game that he, didn't throw. I don't know if it was I don't know what kind of route it was, but it was something over here. He didn't throw it, and it was wide open. And Ryan Day hollered at him, screamed at him. And later in the game, they run that same play. This time it's not there, but you could tell he had kind of hyper focused and he was just going to throw it there no matter what, because he had missed it the first time and Ryan Day had yelled at him. And, they kind of pointed this out on the broadcast as well. And I thought they did a good job of that. And so it shows that he still has some growing to do. But I think he's going to be a very different quarterback 6-8 weeks from now than he even is right now, because I do think he's going to be a quick study. I think he's going to learn from his mistakes. And I think there's a good chance that he could be playing really, really well as this team rolls into Ann Arbor.
I think we're on opposite sides a little bit here, Michael.
Okay.
Is it? I guess I can't ask you the question because I think I know where you stand. And I'm not saying that I'm ultra concerned. I just have questions is all. I have questions. I just wonder if is it time to start getting a little worried about him? Here's my thing. We've known from day one, he's only all of 6 feet tall, 6'1" if he's in longer cleats. I have no idea.
I don't know. They list him at 6'1". I've obviously never stood up next to him, so I don't know how tall he is.
I will say he doesn't look tiny out there. He doesn't.
No, I think he looks 6'1" on the field. I mean, that's my opinion.
So here's the thing.
It's just 6'1's not very big on a college football field.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But again, there are NFL quarterbacks that are, pretty short that have, made it. So I mean, again, but here's the thing. Those quarterbacks could run and provide a running threat. Like Julian Sayin really provides no running threat. And yeah, he actually ended up correcting himself and throwing some really good deep balls. But before those, they weren't great. Ohio State has never been a great successful running team under Ryan Day. All of our success in the run game has been because we were a passing team, passing to set up the run. But I'm not sure he's the quarterback to do that because he just is small. He doesn't, he doesn't provide anything of a run threat. I mean, that 4th and goal when we drove down there, the first drive of the game, when Ohio got a little bit of pressure on him, or I don't know that the pressure was there. It's just the coverage on the backside was there. And you're telling me that he just got tripped up and fell down by that defensive end? The tackle wasn't that great. Stay up, man, make a play. extend the play. Like, I feel like if someone gets a hand on him, he's going down. I don't know if he's physically strong enough to, extend plays. I mean, that's just, me thinking out loud here.
Well,
but,
that
too
is
much dinking and dunking as well. Too many short underneath routes. And I'm like, push the ball down the fucking field.
All right. So I agree with that he's probably only 190 pounds. And 6'1", 190 pounds is, again, not big on a college football field these days. And so when you've got 235-pound linebackers that can fly, you've got 250 and 60 and 70-pound defensive ends that are fast. You've got 310 and 15-pound tackles that are quick and pretty fast. And he's not going to fare well against those. So you don't want him out there running the ball much, but you do want him using his legs to extend plays. And, there were some things he did that were also, I would say borderline special. When he rolled to his right, there was a lane to run. He could have gotten 6, 8, 9 yards and got out of bounds, but he was looking, he kept his eyes downfield. The Claire breaks open and he, very athletically, whips a strike right into the end zone, hitting him in stride. And so that, and coupled with the fact that he did throw for 347 yards, and he was 25 to 32.
It was against Ohio, though, man. Ohio. I mean, don't get me wrong. Ohio is better than I thought. They're a good team. I didn't do a lot of breakdown. Then they did beat West Virginia, but need to have a little perspective here.
Well, what I'm saying is, give it 6 weeks. And if Julian's saying, of course, he's not going to play Ohio again, because this is just all part of his development. But 6 weeks from now, if he came back and played Ohio, I think he'd throw for 430 yards, 4 touchdowns, and probably no or 1 interception. Because I do think he's a guy that's going to learn from his mistakes. And I am glad that he made some mistakes in a game like that. And I'm glad that he had to be under a little bit of stress at home at night, even though it was Ohio. Still, you can't, you can't simulate that kind of stress inoculation when the real fear of doing the unthinkable, of losing to the Ohio U Bobcats on your home field, becomes real. And how do you respond to that? And so, I think overall it was a good thing, even though the result, change a few things here or there. And it could have been, obviously 45 or 52-9. And then we're looking at it quite differently.
Yeah, it's true, but we didn't get there. So it is what it is. Kind of reminded me of the Akron game last season, game 1 against Akron. It was kind of a similar game to that, except the Akron game last year, we were able to force a turnover and score off of that turnover. We didn't do that in this game.
Well, and Akron's much worse than that Ohio team.
True. That is also true. That is also true. Another thought, Michael, is, we kind of touched on this last week against Grambling State. Again, we didn't learn anything from Grambling State, but I think we learned a little bit more in this game. And one of those things is Bo Jackson is running back number 1. CJ Donaldson is running back number 2. James Peoples, if there's room for him, he can fill in some of those carries. But Bo Jackson needs to be getting the majority of the carries. CJ Donaldson probably needs to get a healthy share so you don't wear out Bo, and then, go from there. Yeah. And it looks like Mike, you look like you cut out for a second. Is your internet all right?
Yep, we're good. Just kind of freezing there for a minute. Jay, Bo Jackson. We talked about him, but you were big on him a couple of weeks. You even drew the comparison, almost had some Claret-like tendencies. And I'm going to take it a step farther. I think that after watching him this past week, and I'm not saying that he's going to be as good as the combination of these two. I'm just saying I see both of these guys' game in Bo Jackson, and that is Maurice Claret and a little bit of Zeke Elliott at times. And so, I think that this guy could be a special back at Ohio State.
Zeke Elliott, I don't really see the comparison. He doesn't have the home run hitting speed that Zeke did. He's fast, though. He is fast, and he's got a great burst. He's got good power, runs with determination, and he has got quick feet, man. Quick feet for a running back, and that's what you need.
But if you would have gone Zeke's first almost 2 years, you would have said that he may not have had that home run ability, because that just kind of popped, at the end of his sophomore year.
His freshman year.
Right.
Really?
And Bo hasn't played much, that he got 9 carries this game.
Yeah. I mean, I do remember one score that Zeke had as a true freshman. He kind of showed the burst there, but obviously we know his sophomore year is 2014. And we know what he did there.
Yeah. Okay. So again, I'm not saying his speed is exactly the same. I don't know. What time will tell. We'll see if he's got that top end speed.
I hope you're right, Michael. I don't know that he's that good, though. He's good. He's the best we have now.
What I'm saying is he's got footwork that does reminisce of Maurice Clarett, because Clarett had great footwork. That's part of what made him so good, is he could move his feet and move different directions quickly, and he could avoid tackles that way. And Clarett didn't get hit hard most of the time because he had a way of kind of worming and wiggling through, and his footwork was part of that. Obviously, he got smoked the Penn State game, and his shoulder, was messed up. But anyhow, so I see a little bit of that in him, and I see a little bit of Zeke's ability to turn the corner and get north and south. I see a little bit of that in him as well. So I'm not saying by any means he's going to be a combination of the two, that he's going to be that good. I'm just saying I see some elements of both of those guys in what I saw the other day.
How about, I was thinking about this just now, how about a Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson hybrid?
Yeah.
Like if you put them together, again, he doesn't quite have the speed of Henderson.
He's got better. He's got better vision.
He's got better vision, and he can actually make things happen that are not there. Like Travion Henderson needed a hole, but if he had that hole, he was gone most likely. Judkins is, has like maybe a little bit more power, and but I would say he's Quinshon Judkins, maybe with a little bit more speed than Judkins.
Yeah. And you know what you can see out of those guys that are able to see the hole or make that backside cut, or, whatever it is, you're going to have a lot more 15 or 20 yard runs out of those guys, because they're going to see that crease that some of the good backs, but backs that don't have elite vision, are not seeing. And it appears to me that he, could be a guy that has elite vision. And sometimes that can't be taught. Sometimes running backs just have it or they don't. And it's a part of running back that I think doesn't get talked about a whole lot.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is true, man. You either have the vision or you don't. I mean, it's kind of like speed too. You either have it or you don't. And, you can try all day at getting faster, and you can get a little bit faster, but, there's only so much you can do. Another point I wanted to make, Michael, is obviously, we had our problems with Julian saying, but we don't have a third wide receiver right now. We do not have a third wide receiver. I believe they need to try Mylan Graham, because Brandon Ennis is not it, man. I'm watching Brandon Ennis on the field. They're not even looking his way. And I kind of wonder if they just don't have the trust in him, because apparently he was open a few times. And then number two, man, Brandon Ennis does nothing in the return game, nothing at all. He just looks slow. He just doesn't look like, and it's so odd because he came from such a big time high school down there in Florida, the biggest of big in high school in Florida, but it hasn't translated to being an Ohio State level player. It just has not.
Well, that's one thing I'll say, Jay. One thing I'll take credit for is that, a few years ago, I said, when he was coming to Ohio State, I watched the tape on him and I said, I don't know. I just don't see the top end speed with him. And it wasn't there then, and it's definitely not there now. Can he still be a solid, productive player? I don't know. That's yet to be seen. I feel like he may be able to, as Julian saying, gets more comfortable with his multiple options. He may become an outlet for him. But I don't know. He certainly, it's a question mark.
Yeah, it's a major question mark, and they got to figure it out quick because, partially why we did so well last year offensively is we had three just heavy hitting options, and like Ibuka at that number 3 spot was just the biggest mismatch because people are paying so close attention to Jeremiah Smith. And, maybe not as much Carnell. I mean, Carnell was number 3 last year. Now he's number 2, elevated. And, Carnell has been an absolute beast, by the way. But, Ennis has just not provided that extra punch or explosiveness. And I don't think we're ever going to get it. I mean, this is year 3 for him now. So I'm not sure we're ever going to get it with him.
Well, I mean, supposedly, Jay, there is a freshman in the wings who.
Your mic go out?
I apologize. I'm back. There was a slight malfunction there. But as I was saying, there's a freshman in the wings that supposedly is really pushing and looking good and may really make his case that he needs to be seeing some time.
Who's that?
You heard about that?
Who?
I believe I believe Quincy Porter.
I don't know that Quincy Porter is a slot. I think he's more of an X or a Y.
Okay. Well, hold on.
Or maybe it's a Z. Oh, man, I don't know.
Well, don't quote me on that. I'll tell you in just a moment. But
right.
That's the word. That's what.
But I don't know that Quincy Porter is. I don't know that he's the right guy. But you know who is like substituting in and apparently did really well in this game along the offensive line, Michael?
Who?
Is Ethan Onyanwa.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is I don't know if you happen to notice, but he did replace Tegra Shabola at right guard there, and apparently we got better push in the run game when he was in the game. Now Tegra is actually a very, very massive player, but Ethan is even more massive. And I think the biggest complaint with Ethan Onyanwa when he got to Ohio State is he was expected to be our left tackle. And he just did not have the quickness to be a tackle against Big Ten level edge defenders. And it was that was his struggle. But if he's at guard, those problems kind of go away. But his size, just getting a body on a body, like maybe that's the spot for him. I would hate to see Shabola get moved to the bench, man. But again, are you going to bench Luke Montgomery? I mean, Luke Montgomery is not a very big guard. In a perfect world, I would like Ethan Onyanwa and Shabola out there at the guard spots with Phillip Daniels. Then you have just a massive offensive line, similar to the size of Texas A&M, which, by the way, just ran over Notre Dame.
Jay, let me go back and correct what I said before. It's not a freshman. It's a sophomore. What's being said is Mylan Graham is really
pushing.
The
guy I just mentioned. Yes, I've been saying that for a long time. Mylan Graham is the guy we need to put there.
Yeah.
I said that before the season. I'm like, I'm not sure Brandon Ennis is it. I think Mylan Graham's got to get those snaps, and we saw what he did in the spring game. Hell, we saw the one pass he caught last week against Grambling. So what in the fuck are we waiting for? What the fuck are we waiting for? Right. Bo Jackson's already running back number 1, and you're telling me Mylan Graham can't be wide receiver number 3? Why? Why the fuck not?
Well,
why?
It's hard to unseat the captain, Jay. Ennis is a captain.
He can be a captain all he wants from the bench. I'm sure the players love him. Doesn't mean he's like meant to be a starter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, don't they have those things like honorary captains? Those motherfuckers aren't even on the team.
Right.
So exactly. So I think the captain thing is such bullshit. I understand, like, by, optic wise, you probably want to be one of the best motherfuckers on the team, but you can still lead people and not be a great football player. So I guess I don't agree with that in a way. I don't know. Do you have anything else to add about the offense, Michael?
No, I don't.
Do you want to start off with the defense?
Why don't you give me your? I started offense. You start defense.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. From the first 3 games, the defense is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Like yesterday, what I started to see, Michael, is we are starting to get pressure with 3 and 4 guys. Bo Atkinson has finally arrived, the Raleigh, North Carolina native by way of University of Chapel Hill in North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Had a sack, and he was the guy who actually hurt Parker Navarro on that like option play. Like, again, like if a quarterback's going to play that little game of like holding the ball too long and pitching it, you got to hit the quarterback every time. And my God, did he? He absolutely decleated that fucking bitch. Just destroyed him. And again, he was out the rest of the half because of that. Yeah, with Parker Navarro, I figured he would not run much in this game, and he didn't because we would have killed him, and he knows it. Ohio knows it. They wanted to save him for the rest of the year. I will say this, though, about the defense. They still have not faced a good offense yet. Texas offense, they are awful. But we did what we needed to do against a bad offense. Texas is a bad offense. Washington is going to tell us a lot about what the defense is or isn't. Mm-hmm. But again, they are doing what they needed to do. Ohio, a week ago, put up, I think it was like 450 yards against West Virginia, which is much better than what Pittsburgh did. And they beat West Virginia. Heck, the score should have been a lot worse. I went back and watched the highlights. They should have beat West Virginia a lot worse than they did. Mm-hmm. But I think they turned it over like 3 times. But yeah, we're going to find out a lot in the Washington game. Michael, what do you have to add about the defense?
Nothing other than I'm very pleased with it. I agree with you. It hasn't been tested with an elite offense at this point. But everything I have seen, I am very optimistic about the defense. And McDonald is just turned into a monster, Jay. He's getting hard to block. And so thank goodness.
Getting hard to block. He's been hard to block.
Well, I mean, but he's getting like almost like guys just can't handle him at all. Like he's just going to dominate whoever he's in front. And so I'm glad that Georgia underranked that kind of moderately rated 4-star. I think he was rated like a 92 out of the state of Georgia and has turned out to be, much better than that. Another 92, Bo Jackson over on the offensive side, incidentally, looking like he's going to be much better than that ranking. But the defense, Atkinson did look better. And so that gave me, some kind of a flash that he's maybe coming on. And, the secondary continues to look, for the most part, very, very good. Wasn't perfect, but, they looked very good, once again, against a good quarterback. Now, I know it wasn't top-level wide receivers, but it was, that guy is a scrappy, good little quarterback.
Lorenzo Styles is going to have to start hearing footsteps a little bit for him to give up that long pass to that Ohio receiver. And yeah, that Ohio receiver is a good football player, but you're an Ohio State level corner. You're supposed to be able to cover NFL wide receivers. I'm not sure that guy is an NFL wide receiver. The coverage was good, but why didn't you turn around? And again, what the fuck was up with that fucking tackling?
Okay.
What was wrong with that?
Okay. That's what was worse. He wasn't paying attention. He got himself burnt and he gave up a big game. But where if he just makes the tackle, where would he have been? Maybe the 30, 35 yard line?
I think he might have made it to like the 15. He would have made it down to the 15. But again, just tackle him. He's not even as big as him.
He started trying to strip the ball.
Yeah, he started
trying to strip the ball, and then the guy got free, and now he's gone. It was pitiful. It was terrible. It was all him. He screwed up twice on that play to give up that touchdown.
Yeah, and I don't know that I consider the coverage as much as a screw up. Yeah, he should have turned around. He was right there, stride for stride with the guy. Just turn the fuck around. Mm-hmm. But again, the tackling, that was pathetic. Mm-hmm. And I've been calling for Bryce West for a long time. I mean, we saw him a little bit in the game against Tennessee last year. Basically made a great play against their 5-star wide receiver.
Whoa. You're on the Bryce West train now?
I've been on the Bryce West train. I don't know that.
You're not on the Aaron Scott train. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah, no, Bryce West is a slot corner, Glenville High School. The problem is, he's only like 5'10", 5'11", but you know what? He looked really good. I could just tell that he's got it. And I think that if Lorenzo Styles messes up again, I think you kind of have to supplant and put Bryce West in there, man. Like, another thing, man, is Edric Houston didn't play a lot yesterday.
No, Edric Houston hasn't graded out. I haven't noticed his play specifically, but going by the grades, he's graded poorly.
Well, here's the thing, and I've said this for the long time. You just can't move a guy that was naturally 6'3", 260 pounds, and then like put 35 pounds of unnatural weight on him and expect him to move inside. It's not fucking natural. It is not his position. It is not in his physiology to be an interior player. He is an edge. If anything, he should lean out and try and get more explosive so he can play defensive end and help us there, but not move inside. That's bad defensive tackle recruiting is what it shows me, is when you force people like him to move inside, it just usually, for the most part, doesn't fucking work.
So, Jay, I mean, I think that he could potentially be, and I haven't seen what his foot speed would look like out on the edge, but I think he could potentially be one of those guys that could be a big 270 or 75-pound run stopping defensive end that, maybe has some nice power moves to get to the quarterback, from time to time. But it certainly doesn't look like it's developing like we would have hoped at the defensive tackle spot.
Exactly. And again, that's what Tuimalau was. He was a bigger, stronger defensive end. Yeah, Tuimalau was a little taller and longer.
Yeah.
But again, Edric Houston was a 5-star player out of North Georgia. He played against the best competition there was in high school football. I watched him play against St. Francis Academy, and he was like the best player on the field. Find a spot for him at defensive end, but he is not an interior player. And I said that from day one. I think that was just a result of poor recruiting because they're not hitting the defensive tackle position very well, at least in the last 2 classes. And look how great our run defense was with Tywone Malone and Caden McDonald and all of them, man.
Yeah.
Ohio, like our run defense was legit. Like we had some problems against Grambling and against Texas, but man, Ohio, they could not run anywhere on us, not at all. And that is very encouraging.
Yep, absolutely. Question for you too. Would you rather have a home run running back, or would you just want a guy to grind out tough yards that are not necessarily there? I think I'd rather have a pounded out guy.
I'd rather have a pounded out guy that can read the hole.
Yeah.
He's got to be able to read the running lanes. If he can't read the running lanes, I don't want some guy who's just going to run into walls all day. He's got to run where there's something available.
I'll put it this way. I would rather have a guy who can get those tough yards and has good vision and can hit, some 15, 18, 20-yard seams, pops now and then. I'd rather have that kind of guy than a guy who doesn't get a lot of yards on a per carry basis, but then pops big 40 and 50-yard home runs or maybe 60-yard home runs. I'd probably rather have the more consistent guy out of those two, as long as he's got the ability to pick up yards in chunks.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know that there's much else to cover with Ohio State, though. Again, it was not an impressive game overall. We didn't cover the spread. Ohio, I will say this, they're probably a top 35 team in the country. I wouldn't call them a ranked team, but they're probably like top 35. They will most likely win the MAC again. I don't see how they don't win the MAC again. Heck, they outplayed Rutgers in week 1 as well. I mean, I don't know how good or bad Rutgers is, but they outplayed them.
Well, Jay, I have some thoughts on the Michigan game as well. So
yes.
Yeah,
go ahead. I'm surprised you watched them play like some shitty MAC team and got interesting thoughts. Well, let's hear it. What do you got?
This is what I think. I think that they are definitely getting better. They are finding an identity. How quickly can they find it? I don't know. But that was a much better team that then went and played Oklahoma. And I'm not saying that the competition was the same. It was not the same at all. What I'm saying is they allowed their athletes and their personnel to shine and be in positions to shine in that game. And they didn't do that in the Oklahoma game. Oklahoma very well may have beat them anyhow, but their only chance to beat Oklahoma was to do what they did the other day and have a game plan to try and let their guys that have an ability to make plays. And Oklahoma, they basically showed that they had no confidence in Bryce Underwood as the quarterback of the team. I mean, that's what that game plan conveyed. And so, the fact that they're opening it up and it looks like, kind of going, hey, we're going to have to live and die. We've got to let him play his game. And he's now running the ball, which, he runs the ball well. And so I think they're going to be getting much better. And I think that they're going to be, the reason I'm interested in that is I think they're going to be a much better team at home in November than they were in Norman, Oklahoma a week or so ago.
I don't know that they'll be a better team, but they just match. I mean, it's going to be a hard game for Ohio State because number one, they have the mental edge. And number two, they have just the personnel that just drives Ohio State crazy. And Ohio State just doesn't play well against Michigan's style of play. Like Michigan has a rock solid identity that if they get off schedule a little bit, they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. It's not against Ohio State, not in November, but not at home.
They are now experimenting with something that a Michigan team really hasn't done against us in recent years, and that's having a quarterback that runs the ball, and another thing to account for, along with the power run game that they have. I know
Antoine Johnson. Go ahead.
I know it's a MAC team, but he ran for, I don't know what was 115 yards or something, 120 yards. So and he definitely is capable of it. He's a good athlete. So what is that?
Pull up that bottom comment by Antoine Johnson. He's talking about what Michigan should have been doing. Well, here's the thing. I don't care what play calling you have against Central fucking Michigan. I don't. You need to call that against Oklahoma. But if you can't call it against Oklahoma, I can't trust your coaches to call it against any other good teams either. So again, talk is fucking cheap. That was a disgusting performance by you guys against Oklahoma. I'm not going to mix my words. That was a black eye to the Big Ten, very much a black eye to the Big Ten. And it was embarrassing. It was quite embarrassing to get out physicaled by Oklahoma under, what the hell is that fucking bitch's name? Who's their head coach, the weird guy who was stealing signs before supposedly Connor Stallions. What was his name again?
Oh, you're talking about Venables, Britt Venables.
Yeah, Venables is fucking weird ass motherfucker. But yeah, man, I'm not going to say I'm sold on Michigan at all in a big game outside of Ohio State until they actually call it, because so far you're 0-1 and you didn't look very good against Oklahoma there. So I'll leave it at that.
Slip and Skippy, who cares about Michigan? Well, my concern with
Big Ten podcast second.
Yeah, my concern with Michigan is I do want them to represent outside of the Big Ten, but I also know we have to go there in November. So I want to see how the team is developing. I want to see what we're up against going into Ann Arbor.
Central Michigan, by the way, got blown out by Pittsburgh, and Pittsburgh lost to West Virginia. So that's all you need to know.
Central Michigan is a horrible football team. Don't get me wrong. They're a horrible football team.
Bottom of the barrel in the MAC.
All I'm saying is they found more of a blueprint. Is it going to look like that every week against Big Ten defenses? No. But they found more of a blueprint that if they go with it, they have a chance for success. There's really not a whole lot of chance for success if they're going to protect him and coddle him the way they did in the Oklahoma game. He doesn't run. He doesn't really throw the ball. They just throw little horizontal passes real quick out of his hand. And, they showed much more than that. And so if they move forward with that, I think they can have some success. And I think on certain nights, they could be a scary team. I don't know that they're going to be super consistent this year just because they do have a true freshman quarterback. But I've seen flashes from him that certainly give me some concern, in case one of those hit the last weekend in November.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard matchup. The closer we get to that game, we'll talk more to it. But we have a trip to Seattle upcoming, Michael. That will tell us a lot, especially about our defense. We're going to know a lot because Washington's offense is very good. I don't know that their defense is very good, but their offense is very good. So, yeah. Don't have much else. I did want to touch on one
I can't
thing.
wait to see it. I can't wait to see this defense be put to the test out on the road in Seattle in a different time zone. It'll be good for them, and we'll see.
I'll be there. I will be there.
You're going to be there, yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, my trust is in Patricia. I think he's going to get it done.
Michael, what before we go, do you have any thoughts about Kirk Ferentz breaking the all-time Big Ten wins mark? Like he won, I guess he has the most wins, and I don't know if it's Big Ten conference play or just like all-time wins and as a Big Ten coach, but he's number one in one of those two. Do you have any thoughts regarding that?
Sure, I'll give some.
Okay, what are they?
I think that Kirk Ferentz has found a way to uniquely find a university that will endure, the trade-off of having his consistency versus, putting up with some really bad years. And so, he has stayed around a long time, and most of the time he wins 8 or 9 games. Of course, there's the seasons he'll jump up and win 10 or 11. But, he usually wins 8 or 9. But he knows when he goes 4 and 8, or when he has a 6 and 7 year, or a couple of them in a row, I was not going to get rid of him. And he always rights the ship, and he gets underrated guys and develops them and redshirts them and plays a very conservative, keep it in front, very disciplined style of defense. And he plays some of the most boring, bland football, that you can play, but he's found a place where he has a niche to win, 8 to 10 games a year, and he's done it for a long, long time. And Iowa's not an easy place to win. And Iowa has won and played in some pretty big games under Kirk Ferentz. One that comes to mind, they beat Georgia Tech in one of the BCS bowls somewhere in the 2000s. I believe they beat them 28-14, handled them pretty well, represented the Big Ten on the national stage. They also got destroyed by USC on a big stage at one point as well. But Iowa's beaten several SEC teams, and they've been a good contributor to the conference. But it is a grind the way he develops that program there at Iowa. They don't have the athletes some of the other teams have, and they make up for that in other ways.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of research. I feel like 3/5 of the SEC games he's played, he's lost. So. The reason I ask is the Big Ten Network or Big Ten Conference on Facebook yesterday posted, they're like basically saying like, they celebrate Kirk Ferentz and stuff like that. Well, I made a slight comment on there. All I said is I think Kirk Ferentz is very overrated. Yeah. And it turns out that Iowa fans are very fickle, and they get very, very highly offended for a, somewhat above average coach, right? Like, would you personally put him close to Woody Hayes or anybody along those lines? Fuck no. But, like people are sucking him off like he's some great coach. Well, I make that little comment, and it starts out so kind of innocent, and people are like getting there, and they're like pushing me, and they're trying to say like I have no class and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, what does my class have anything to do with this? Like, I mean, I'm telling you the results. I think he's overrated. And then it becomes personal. And let me try and find find these comments about these fucking people and how they piss me off.
I think that I always think that sometimes there can be like two things true at the same time, that he could be overrated and he could have done, the people at Iowa are obviously happy with him. So because I guess they're realistic in their expectations there, Jay. They don't have the demands of an Ohio State, of a Michigan, of an Alabama or Georgia. They just don't have that kind of demanding fan base. That's not what they expect.
Yeah, this one guy was saying, he says he's held Kirk Ferentz to standards and stuff like that, but I have the decency to be respectful. Hopefully you can understand that, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And then, And then I basically told him, I was like, well, I will continue to say what I want to say and, how I want to say it. I couldn't care less, blah, blah, blah. This Facebook page seems to be pro Big Ten, sometimes in cringy ways. And this is where this fucker comes after me. And he's like, oh, I'll say what I want to too. You're a piece of shit, and comment if you want. I won't read it. Instead saying have, I don't even know what he's trying to say there, but he's trying to say fuck Ohio State and blah, blah, blah. He's like, how is that for not being positive? And I told him simply is all I'll say is you're too much of a bitch coward ever to say that to my face. And then number 2, I would bitch slap you in front of your wife. And,
so where is this happening on? Where
this
are
is happening on Facebook, man. This is happening on Facebook.
Yeah. Okay, got it. So you're doing this on Facebook. Okay, so
on the Big Ten conference thing.
The Big Ten conference.
It always starts out again, I'm never attacking people. I just make a comment and people attack me. But again, this is kind of with my point earlier. You have to fight fire with fire, man. You just can't be a pushover to these people. If they want to talk, I'll talk. But I'm not going to ever come at somebody unless I'm willing to fight. Make that clear. If they want to fight, I'm not that hard to find.
So, I mean,
do you think any of them would actually ever say this to my face, Michael? Honestly,
from the Facebook group, probably not. No.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's kind of similar to the message boards, right?
Yeah, it's very similar. Jay, we got a request here. Oregon and Penn State deserve attention, according to Slip and Skippy. Let me say about Oregon real quick.
Oregon, yes. Penn State, no.
Well, I only say Penn State no because I didn't watch them. I did watch Oregon. Oregon's very good. Oregon's a very good team. They are a legit team. It would be an awesome, fun matchup to be able to meet them in the Big Ten championship. Because I am impressed with what I see out of Oregon.
Yeah. 2 things there. Number 1, Penn State, they were kind of struggling with the 1AA team for a little while there, and Villanova is. Ohio would beat Villanova damn near as bad as Penn State did. They would beat Villanova probably 35-10. Penn State 152-6. Number 2, Penn State has been been a real struggle for them offensively this year.
Jay, what you are seeing is that the bottom third of college football is getting considerably worse.
Yes,
because now
I said that last week.
Yeah. Because now the MAC schools, if they have a wide receiver that was or they have an offensive tackle that was a 2-star that it ends up really developing and is 6'6", 315 pounds, and he's in his 3rd year, he's not staying there anymore. Some other division, some power 4 is going to come give him at least a few $100,000 or more to come play for them, and so their best players get poached now, and they're left with less than what they had years ago.
Yeah, and then with Oregon, man, here's the thing. Ohio State's gone to Northwestern and struggled there. It's a very odd place to play on the lake there with all the wind and stuff. It
absolutely is.
And they have their slow style of play. And again, Oregon couldn't stop the run. Oregon could not stop Northwestern's run, man, because Northwestern, they have no threat to throw. None at all. But yet, Northwestern ran for 5 yards a pop against them. 5 yards a pop against them. And I will tell you this, there were a couple times that Northwestern was driving and they had a 3rd and 1 and they went play action and tried to throw and they got sacked and turned it over. And it was why did you not run the ball? Again, that's Northwestern for you, and that's why they're Northwestern, but they just can't seem to call a good enough game plan. It's oh my God, we're actually in this game in a way. Yeah. And then they just piss down their leg because they don't know what the fuck they're doing. It's holy shit. We're actually driving down the field. We have 3rd and 1, but rather than run the ball where we're probably going to get the first down, we've had success all day. Let's go play action and see if we can catch them. But no, they didn't catch him. Oregon sacked him, and I think that was really the big turning point there. But yeah, Northwestern, that score is not indicative for how close it actually was. And Joel Klatt was all aboard that Oregon train, and he was calling them the best team in the country last week. And he was saying during that telecast, he was man, they got problems in run defense. Now, Ohio State's not really a running team. Would I take Ohio State to beat Oregon right now in a neutral field? I would. I would take us because we have the speed to run with them. And then number 2, I believe we would be able to run on them. And I don't think they would be able to run on us.
Well, yeah, I mean, they had issues with their run defense last year. I mean, Penn State ran all over their defense in the Big Ten championship game. And so, it should have been a question. It shouldn't be a surprise that their run defense isn't strong. It should have been a question. Is their run defense going to be stronger this year? 178 yards they gave up on the ground. That being said, I do know, as you said, that is just a difficult environment to play in there at Northwestern.
Yeah, it's just the weather sucks and the wind, and
there's
Oregon's lucky they didn't go to Northwestern in November.
And Jay, just like on the small little junior high level, my son's played in a few different stadiums around here, and we went and played this game the other day. And it was like on this old grass field, just kind of out in the and just like I would have played junior high ball on. Now they play in the nice turf stadiums and everything, and there was just no juice in the atmosphere out there. And they won the game. They didn't play anywhere close to as well as they could have, but they handled business and won the game. And it's like that just at a much bigger level, in many of these college atmospheres. And that atmosphere out in Northwestern just doesn't have any juice. It's, and they're used to.
I would love to go see a game there, though, man.
Yeah,
I would love to go see a game out there at Northwestern.
They're building a new stadium that's going to be
but where they're playing right now is like their practice field or something. But you get like a nice view of like the lake.
Oh, they're playing on their practice field?
I believe so.
That's why it looks so weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, so, they put in just temporary stands or something.
So they had to tear down the other stadium to build the new little
I don't know what they have going on. It's Northwestern. I don't fucking study them. I just know that they are building a new stadium, and they are playing on essentially their outdoor practice field where they put in stands.
Jay, their new stadium is going to be an awesome place to go see.
That's why we played at Wrigley Field last year, because they didn't have a stadium, and it wasn't the place they had for their actual field isn't big enough to field Ohio State fans. They wanted that money.
They can't play at Soldier Field ever? They can't work that out?
I don't know. I guess not. Maybe the Bears hate Northwestern. I don't know.
But okay, but listen, that will be a great trip one of these years when they get that stadium built. You know why? The new Northwestern Stadium, it's going to look like a little pro stadium.
It is. But
it's only going to have about 25,000 seats. Do you know how cool it's going to be to watch Ohio State play in a place with 25,000 seats? That would truly be pretty unique, because every time you see them, it's in a massive arena or a massive college football stadium.
Yep, I looked it up right now. They're Northwestern Medicine Field, a temporary stadium on the university's campus on the shores of Lake Michigan. That's where they're playing. Yep.
Okay. Cool.
Very odd, but again, that's a Northwestern thing to do. Ohio State would never do such a thing. But
they're like, yeah, it'll be fine.
I mean, again, it's even here's the thing: it's not like Oregon travels well, or at least not to the Midwest. And I think Northwestern knew they didn't need to move it to anywhere.
Yeah.
So, Michael, we are way past time. I have nothing else to add unless you do.
I don't. I'm ready.
Yeah. Prayers to Charlie Kirk. Very, very sad situation. Our country is under attack. I don't know by who. Like I said, I have my suspicions, but again, I don't know that we'll ever know the real truth, Michael, and that's what you kind of said.
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm content with knowing that I'll probably never know.
Yep.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We will see you next week.